Yeah, we should put that out next week.
Oh, I had too many ums. Okay, I'm going to talk about Titan building. So, give me a name for a Titan.
Bork, Bork, Bork.
Board. Okay, so we've gone over most of Titan building. 2 weeks ago we went over some of the weapons, so I'm going to go over the last few. Or I guess I can just go over all of them again quickly. So the beam shooter. This one is like the arc fiends that Ichiro put in his level, so it will shoot giant columns of death at you.
Rapid fire.
Any second now. There it goes.
He looks nubbly. I like it. He looks so sad.
So it shoots them straight at you. They're easy to dodge, but if they hit you, they do tons of damage and sort of make your day unhappy. Let's see. Then we have the big gun.
Big gun.
By the way, for folks who haven't seen our previous Titan building videos, we talk about the basics and things like animation and so on. So do check those out if this is the first time you're seeing Titan building. For today, Elliot's going to focus mostly on weapons.
Yeah. Weapons and banks.
Weapons and banks.
Yeah, Creepy Pies, aka YT, has a good suggestion. Add a test weapon button in the editor to see the weapon in action without moving the level.
Yeah.
That is a good idea.
Yeah, we've been thinking about different ways we can do that and test animations and stuff. My current thinking is it's probably best to just give them God mode, so they can look at them in level. So the big gun shoots these little pellets, and if they hit the ground, they create these spheres of radiation. So if you run into them, you start taking lots of damage. Where these are good are if you have a Titan that's moving around a lot, then you can pepper the area and sort of cover the ground in radiation and make the player have to weave around or choose to take some damage. They're not so great when the Titan's standing still. The eggplant, on the other hand, that was all Amy naming that the eggplant. This shoots radiation.
Did you just toss Amy under the bus?
Yep, that's her job. These shoot spheres of radiation, and you can kill them by shooting the center bits or shooting the Titan. So these are similar, but instead of peppering the ground, they pepper the air, and they slowly grow larger. So if you have a bunch of these growing around, they can quickly fill up the space and make it very hard to maneuver in the air, like that. If you play one of the later levels currently in the game called Alleyways, there's a Titan that starts spewing these things out like crazy and makes your life very difficult.
Question from YT again. Do you get red screen damage invocation in God mode?
I don't believe so.
No. There's no reason we couldn't do that.
Yeah. I think you do from radiation, actually, but you don't from anything
You
else.
still get damage in radiation. Is God not immune to radiation?
His screen shakes, but he doesn't get hurt. He's like a ghoul. So the blaster shoots little beams of blaster bolts at you like in sci-fi movies. They're not so good at hitting you if you're moving. What they're very good for is making it so you don't stand still. And you can adjust the angle that they shoot around to make them more concentrated fire. So if I went back and set this to like 20, now it's just going to pepper the area but not really hit much. So if you have a bunch of those, they can, sort of like flak fire fill the space. And we have the laser dish. This first shoots a little targeting laser, and then it shoots a larger laser. And if it hits you, it does a lot of damage while you're in the beam. And you can give them some animation. So I can give them a pan arc of, say, 90 degrees. And it will start panning back and forth as it's firing. So.
Wait, we can do that.
Yep.
like the idea. But it doesn't follow you?
No, it doesn't follow anymore. It was never very good at following in the first place, so... Then you can also give it cycles, so for the same firing pass, you pan across multiple times. So these are really good. You have a whole bunch of them around in a circle, say, and they'll just periodically sweep down or something like that, and cause lots of damage all over the place.
Why don't you show that off? That's
Yeah.
fun.
So...
So he just selected all of the mount points and then hit A to add a piece and then added the lasers.
Right.
The laser, okay, fine.
1 unit alpha. So this is tilt instead of arc.
Make it do something and then be surprised at it and go, wow, that's even better than I thought.
Neutron bomb. Neutron bomb.
Sweet. Oh, that's dangerous.
Yeah. Oh, this one still has multiple cycles on it.
Yeah, one's waggling faster than the rest.
Let's have them all waggle. Waggle, waggle, waggle. So they are 90 degrees about the center, so if I want them to be lower, then I can tilt them down. Now their center is different. So they'll have a higher probability of actually hitting me.
Neutron bomb.
They're more like, oh shit. Wow. I was going to say they were more about like area denial, but actually they're killing you.
Yeah. And we could always make the Titan spin. Spin till I die.
Neutron bomb. Neutron bomb.
So now there's really no way to dodge them. You just sort of have to deal with the Titan.
That's awful.
So I'm going to take that spin off. What's left? Missile launchers.
How about like putting all of them together at the same time?
Okay.
That's a thing, right? Pattern launchers that are all together at the same time, like, you know, when you go, you know, literally dozens of pattern launchers.
So, well, I was going to finish describing the different...
No, go ahead. I was just musing.
Okay, well, the large missile launcher and the smallest missile launcher are roughly the same thing, so I'm going to show one.
Neutron bomb. Neutron bomb.
The missile launcher periodically, I fall off, shoots out these little red things here, and they will track you wherever you go. You can adjust the speed that they can fly at and how often they get shot at you, and they do relatively minor damage when they hit, but if a lot of them hit you at once like that, it does significant damage.
Actually, we might change that.
Yeah. The pattern beam launcher is kind of boring at its default settings here, but it shoots out these thinner columns than the arc beam launcher in sort of a pattern. So those are much more interesting when you customize them. So if I come over here, I can adjust their length, and I can say that they grow over time. So give them a low length.
Neutron bomb. Neutron bomb.
Now they should start smaller and then grow
Rapid
up to their full size.
Rapid fire. Rapid fire.
That's still kind of boring. So there's interval time here. What that will do is say how long between each beam is shot out within a... So it shoots out a bunch of beams at once, separated by interval time, and then it waits fire rate time before shooting out another set of beams. So right now it's shooting out between 5 and 5 beams, so 5 beams. Shoots out 5 every 0.2 seconds, then it waits a second, and then shoots another 5 every 0.2 seconds. So if I turn this up a little bit, and then tell it to shoot more beams,
Neutron bomb. Rapid fire.
There's more time between each beam, but it's going to shoot a whole bunch at once and then wait.
Rapid fire.
And then we can also make this spin around.
Probably also want to make the beams a little faster because they don't look very dangerous.
Yeah. Projectile speed. And then we can also tell it to spin. So it's been a while since I played with these. So this will make it both arc across and spin around. So you'll get something that looks like this. So each time it shoots one, they're spun around, and it's going across in a pan. So if I turn off the spin, actually, and then make them shoot faster. So what we'll see is a panning of beams that sort of cuts off a section of the map from you. So you wouldn't want to fly up there right now because you will probably get hit, which I did not, but usually you probably get hit like that. And they do fairly minimal damage right now. We might tune that later, but they shoot a lot of them. And usually when you make a Titan with these, you'll have a whole bunch of them shooting out a whole bunch of beams at once, just to sort of pepper the air with them, again, to deny a part of the arena.
Bullet hell.
Right. It's taking the bullet hell, like, things that come at you in patterns and putting them into 3D. So that's the basics of different weapons. I'll talk about weapon banks now, I guess. So let's say I had those lasers again.
What?
Lasers.
Have them tilt.
And it gets really interesting when you do entire armatures filled with weapons, and then you duplicate those, and then suddenly you can't fly through space anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So right now it's kind of boring because all the lasers shoot at once, and then they're done and they shoot again a little while later. What might be more interesting is if we had, say, every other laser shoot and then every other laser after that. And you can do that through what we call weapon banks. So if you switch to the Titan tab down here in the lower left corner, you have some options that are Titan wide. So we can change weapon banks. Right now it's at 1, which means that everything always fires at once. So if we change it to 2, we now have the option of splitting things between 2 different banks. And this says that each bank lasts for 5 seconds. So if it's at 2, that means anything that's in bank 1 fires for 5 seconds, and then anything that's in bank 2 fires for the next 5 seconds, and it loops back to bank 1, keeps going in sequence like that. So we'll leave that there for now. If we go back to the Pieces tab and select one of these, there's a weapon bank setting here, and it says it's turned on during bank 1 and turned off during bank 2. So if we play now,
Neutron bomb. Rapid fire. Rapid fire.
they'll fire.
Rapid fire.
Lasers might not be the thing to use this on. Let's use them on.
Probably want blasters, right?
Yeah, blasters might be easiest to see.
Neutron bomb. Neutron bomb.
Lasers work sort of differently with banks than everything else. These blasters are going to shoot at me, and I'm going to turn on God mode so I can actually get through this and talk about it. And so now they just stop shooting for 5 seconds, and after 5 seconds they will start shooting for another 5 seconds. So instead I can select every other one, go down to weapon banks, uncheck 1, check 2.
Neutron bomb. Neutron bomb.
And now the 2 on the outside will shoot at me, then they'll stop, and the one in the middle will shoot at me, and then it'll stop eventually, and the 2 on the outside will start again. And so that's a way to have patterns in the shooting sequence of your Titan. So you can have something really powerful that shoots small amount of the time, and then smaller things that shoot more often to sort of give the player a break during the fight. We're still really playing with this, and we haven't found the perfect way to use it yet, but, you know, the more we experiment, the more we'll figure it out. But if other people experiment with us and with it and then figure out ways to use it or come up with a better idea of how we could do banks, that sort of thing, do let us know, please. And then the other thing with banks is that back on the Titan tab, down here it says shield banks. So if we do that, it's the same setup. I'll turn it on for 2. So for the first 5 seconds, the shield will be off, and I can attack the Titan if I want, but then the level would end. After 5 seconds, the next bank turns on, and the shield turns on. Now if I shoot the Titan, I can't do any damage to it.
And typically, as a general rule of Titan building, if its shield is on and you can't hit it, you probably want to have it not shooting it, unless you want to be unfair.
Right. So I would probably want to go through and set all of the guns to only bank 1, and the shield to bank 2. What we found, again, we're just experimenting with the shield so far. What I found anyway is that it's good on maps with multiple Titans. So in orbital Titan, what?
Nothing. I think the camera just moved a little bit.
In the map Orbital Titan Cannon near the end of the current game, the first 2 the second and third Titans spawn at the same time, and their banks are coordinated, have the same length, and so I think one of them gets a shield during one bank, and the other one is firing at you, and then they swap, and the first one is firing at you, and the second one has a shield, and that makes you split your time. Of course, the issue with that is once you kill one of the Titans, the other one periodically goes into a shield, so you know, we're still messing with the best way to do that. So that is weapon banks.
No, I think that's good. Metaby was asking about, well, he was mentioning, knowing modding communities, you can expect some...
for some reason, all of a sudden.
So you can expect some insane things you'd have never thought of. Right. And in fact, we've seen some pretty crazy stuff in there.
There's an echo. Elliot, can you by any chance have like a browser window open in there?
No?
Suddenly started getting an echo.
I didn't check.
Test. Hold on one sec, everyone. Test. We're definitely getting an echo.
Does anyone else get an echo?
We weren't getting an echo before.
I mean, does anyone in the chat say there's an echo?
Well, I'm listening to... hold on. I'm definitely getting an echo. I wasn't getting one before because I've been monitoring it, correct?
I'm hearing triple fire a lot of times.
Yeah, okay. So, let's just make sure you have no browser windows open.
There's no browser
What
window.
is that, Dejobaan thing? That's just the game,
That's
right?
the game, yes.
And
Shut the game down.
can you hit mute and then unmute? Oh, maybe I'm one of us is
Like,
broadcasting.
so everybody else is saying no, you're saying
Yeah, I think it's just you.
Are you sure?
Yep.
What?
Wow. I don't know, are you guys hearing the voices multiple times?
And now it's stopped. So I think whatever.
Oh well. So
Everything's fine. Sorry, continue.
This is an example of a really bad Titan, because if you watch once it's not shielded and I try to shoot it, even with full power-ups, this is going to take forever. Because it has all of those weapons on it, so even though it has a health of 1, all of those weapons are contributing as children, which we covered in a previous video. So we turned this child damage mod up to like 0.9. And now we should actually be able to kill the thing.
Let's do it. You want to talk about... So Elliot, would you like to tell us a little bit about some of the player-generated content?
Sure. So I grabbed 2 kind of interesting Titans from the workshop. For purpose ours, so you don't want that one. I don't have the names of the people who made them on hand. I can check real quick.
That's okay. If they're here, they'll know. If they're not here, then fuck them.
Yeah, actually, it looks like I don't even list the person who made it when you're subscribed. Oh well. So.
Has anyone in the chat room actually submitted a Titan yet, or an arena?
So this is suspect this is probably in leet speak, but I can't pronounce it. So it is a bunch of letters and numbers.
3, 1, 4, 1, 6. It's pi. No.
What? Oh. Anyway. So this is a very cool Titan. This guy's Titans actually influenced our design once we saw what he was doing and making actual like things out of them instead of abstract robots. We told Amy to go make a chicken. So this one is kind of cool.
Neutron bomb. Neutron
Right. These chickens are really dangerous.
You never know. In a swarm. So for one thing, it's not very good to look at it in this map.
That Titan's apparently called Imperial Tiger.
Wait a second.
Wouldn't it be great if there was a second map we could look at it in? So included in a hotfix I just put out this morning to fix a different issue. I made it so that there's a second map you can test Titans on. So if you go to the Editor tab in the bottom left and click on this, you have the option between two maps. So if you switch to Titan Testing Arena Large, instead of that small little arena, you get this gigantic arena here with all of the power-ups.
That's like a value right there. A $5 value for the price.
And we're still not done.
Oh, we're not.
No, we're not done. I don't know what we have left, but we're still not done.
What else do you get?
You get Chiro's Undying Love. Buy the game right now.
Oh my god, it looks like it's... Whoa.
So now it actually kind of fits in the level.
That's weird.
So this is a really cool looking Titan.
It's swimming.
It can't really... It doesn't... So the blasters don't really hit you at all because it's moving so fast. It does pepper well with the eggplant bullets. But if you look at these missiles, when it does shoot out missiles, it probably shoots too many too fast and they're moving too fast. So if I let these... Or if I didn't have God Mode on and I let one small bit of this swarm hit me, I would be dead instantly.
I'm getting dizzy just watching that.
So I will very quickly die.
So Elliot, what would you do to make this Titan better?
So, the first thing...
You're gonna die. Don't die.
Don't die.
No. Sorry, go ahead.
Ichiro doesn't want me to die.
Well, I want you to
I think
not die.
I think it's good when your boss doesn't want you to
without
die.
God Mode on. I want you to excel in killing Imperial Tiger.
If I were the core of this, I think this is the core. So that's one thing is you want to make sure it's clear where the core of your Titan is. So I know most of the pieces, so I can say this is a core because I know we don't have any regular pieces that look like this. But you want your player to be able to look at the Titan and figure out what their objective is to kill. And you could break that rule and have it hidden, and then as you pick off pieces, you can find the core, but you just don't want them to be sort of guessing for too long. So, I actually haven't tried to kill this yet, but the first thing I'm going to do is turn off the movement on the Titan. Because, well, it's kind of cool to see it swimming. I feel like it moves too much. Let's try it without any movement first. There's a bug because I didn't hit the OK button. It's a bugture. Feet tug. It's a feet tug. Okay, now it's standing still, so let's try shooting it.
That's frustrating.
Let's
It
try.
looks neat, but holy crap.
Yeah. Let's try getting some power-ups. So it's a bit easier to kill with power-ups.
You got two pieces.
Okay, now it has a shield. So this is kind of, there's nothing else in this level. If it were built into a level, it might be fun to have it turn on
I
a
guess
shield.
there's some drones or something.
Right, or a second Titan or something like that.
Right.
So with power-ups, it's a bit easier to shoot at it. So you'd want to put it in a level that had lots of, Splinter and Triple Fire at least. looks like the health on this is good because I'm able to knock off large chunks without it being an issue.
That's a big thing. Like, we see a lot of people creating Titans, and they want to make it really, last a long time. So they bump all the health pieces up to 100, and then you're sitting there hammering away at the arm for a half hour.
Right.
Yeah.
So actually, this one might have had the health might have been too low because I knocked out the entire thing way too fast.
Oh, you did.
Sure, so let's try it with just triple fire.
But they're so good. And things like the legs moving is really neat, but it can also be frustrating from the player standpoint because you're standing there aiming at the damn thing, and then it moves out of the way and sort of like, I don't know.
But isn't that where skill comes into the...
There's certain actions I find, like, predictable actions are satisfying, unpredictable actions can be unsatisfying.
Yeah. So yeah, this is better with just the triple fire.
Everything's better with Muppets.
So if it were spinning again, I suspect the eggplants would be more useful. I want to angle them down a bit so that they actually go into the play space instead of just straight out. And then definitely find all these missiles, turn the projectile speed. I wonder if they're all the same. Yeah. Turn the projectile speed down a bit and turn the fire rate up. We have not talked about activated health, have we?
We'll do that later.
Yeah, we'll do that a different time. Should we let him go?
Yeah, if you want to, anything else you want to cover? So, I mean, if you were to summarize, what are some things people should look out for as they're building their own Titans or trying to make their Titans better?
So the number one thing is to make sure that you tweak the health so that your Titan is actually killable in a reasonable amount of time. If you go to fight your Titan and discover that you're getting bored fighting it, then it probably means everyone else is also going to get bored fighting it. Weapons are good, but don't overdo it with the weapons. If we're going to have a gigantic swarm of missiles that is going to insta-kill you if you stop moving, most of the time you probably don't want that. And, be careful with movements that make it hard to actually shoot the Titan. I guess those are good. And also, beware your shields.
Be fair to the player.
Yeah, be fair to the player, I guess that's the overarching thing.
And, check out the Titans that people have already uploaded. Play a few different Titans, get a feel for it, and then play, obviously play the Titans that we've built and put into the game, and that'll help you kind of get a sense for what sorts of things you might want to tweak and, practice. But have fun, yeah. Hopefully you enjoy building some Titans, and we'll keep, from time to time, I think we'll feature some of the Titans that we like in this show. So keep building Titans.